Get ourselves back into drafts. JDG vs LNG. LNG hugely out macro JDG. They have been so good at playing around sidelines and playing around overextensions, as well as it looks like the clean feeders had a bit of a wobble. Just as we get into that draft, we'll catch up to it again. Looks like there may be some issues on that side as well. We'll keep an eye on that as we go on into the draft. It is 14-14. Priorities have shifted. The Rumble, less of a pick. The Tristana, less of a pick. The Zyra's still around but been nerfed. The Corki's still around but been nerfed as well. What's kept itself on the table? What has kept itself here? We've been asking that all day. The first series very different in the Nirvana series compared to up here at the top of the Ascension group as well. Two teams with 4 wins apiece. It does look like that Leona has made itself through, still being very, very powerful. Hung arguably was MVP in that last game. Bagala picked it up all the same. With the Ashe gone as well, you can't Ashe Braum into it, which has been the big Leona answer. And it's going to be the Yone for Scout coming through instead of that Lucian.
Right, we have wondered what the Yone priority would be like with some of the other AD options nerfed, and Scout has been a big proponent of the Yone. It feels like he's been one of the better ones, where I say likes of Knight have struggled a little bit more to find the consistent options. Well, of course, the last time we saw it had some phenomenal ults, but Scout, I think, has probably been right up there as the most consistent Yone. Is that fair to say over the last few weeks?
Well, over the last few weeks, because some people have been playing it less, then it means maybe a little bit less than someone like, I think that Cream's been pretty consistent too, obviously, but he just hasn't been playing it as much. Scout's been the one who's been prioritizing it. Xiaohu's also played it a lot too, but I think that Scout, I'll probably take him over Xiaohu on this pick right now. Kanavi's going to go towards the Nidalee,
okay.
and I will say, of the players in the LPL, Kanavi's the person who I look at first and foremost in terms of the Nidalee pass. Him and Tien are the two which I'm like, okay, these guys can really carry a game on this pick. Tarzan's also on that list too. Weiwei's tried his hand at it. The last time they played against him, FBX, he kind of just got busted. He kind of got busted in that one. He's going to go towards that Lilia, and hopefully that'll be a lot more impactful for him.
Yeah, of course, it's a good combo with things like the Rakan, who has already got people to dash to in the Yone and stuff, because Rakan always loves to be secondary engaged. That ability to battle down to someone else to get an unusual angle and extend the range of your engage can be really, really valuable. Into that second phase of bans we go. Interesting to see that it was the Maokai first round ban, by the way. I kind of missed that one. That's kind of fun. But now they're looking to get rid of some of those answers top lane, possibly into a Cassante. Sheer does love that TF into some of those tank matchups, and he is a big proponent of the champion.
Yeah, top lane. I think when we've now had, when we had the Renekton and the Rumble, they were both blind pickable top laners. It is harder to blind pick top lane now. The Cassandra you kind of can, the Gnar sometimes you can, but it becomes a little bit harder to do that, even when stuff like Cannon's on the table too. So it gets, the top lane equation's changed in this patch quite a lot, because the Rumble is no longer there as like this instant lock it in, and it also frees up an extra ban there too. We were seeing a lot of AD carries falling through to the second round of bans. Again, we're going to see that. So now we get to see which one kind of makes its way through. We still have the Jhin up and available. We have stuff like, Aphelios, if you really want to go towards an AD carry-centric composition. Harder to play that in this kind of comp with so much backline access, but you're starting getting through to the second string of AD carries.
We'll see what the decision is here, because again, there is, much like the Nidalee pass, for me, there is also something of a Jhin pass as well, in terms of which players are allowed to play that champion. And Gala and Ruler are two of the ones I think have probably earned it over the years of play.
It's going to be the Zeri which switches its way through for LNG.
Get the hold of that Zeri, as you were saying. As they are now in this position where the Gnar might be locked on in here. As that is a blind pick option, as you were kind of saying, on occasion at the very least.
Yeah, the Gnar is like blind pickable. Particularly when you've got something like that cannon around, it can be a little bit difficult. But yeah, it's just quite hard for top laners to blind pick again. It was just in the last week, we're talking about how blind pick in top lane was actually okay again. The Gnar is still fine, but now we're looking through to the second string of AD carries again there for Ruler. So he's hovering over a couple of different picks. We'll not to talk about that until he gets that one locked in. Thinking about going towards his Xayah. Not sure I love that with the last pick for Zucker. What happens now if a cannon comes in for Zucker? I think that could potentially be a really difficult problem for the cannon. Yeah, I think that the cannon could walk in here and add in so much extra engage that I think even the Xayah will struggle to disengage.
And it feels like the last time I saw Ruler on the Xayah as well, he had a rough time of it in terms of getting value.
And now Zucker does lock in that cannon. Of course, now it means that looking at the engage coming through from LNG, you have Yone coming in from one side, Rakan coming from another, the Cannon really helping too in regards to that. I think that Yagao and Rula are going to have a really hard time positioning, like a really hard time positioning. That's going to be a big worry because like JDG, their damage is all through these carries getting some good value. And I think that LNG have more than enough ways to, if they get themselves that side lane control, they're going to open up options onto that backline. And the only person who doesn't care about the engage is the Leona. And if everyone else is dead, then the Leona then cares about that.
Yeah, that will be certainly a tricky position to be in. I feel like, especially after that Game 1 victory, LNG are in a very good position here in the series in general. And don't get me wrong, JDG are a very, very competent group of players. They can absolutely play this well, but there's a lot of pressure on the likes of Kanavi, on that Leona as well, to make things happen in the early games. You want to get into the jungle and make things happen, because if they doesn't, I do get a little worried about some of those team fights.
So, getting into Game 2. Both these teams on 4 series wins. JDG, they were a top 3 team in spring. In summer, I think the top 3 teams are completely all over the place now. And it is so hard to judge who the best teams are in the LPL. LNG might just be it.
That's exactly it. They have taken down Top Esports. They have taken down BLG. They are 1-0 up over JDG. Lost to FPX in slightly unusual circumstances does not take away from how strong and how dominant this Ascension group stage has been. They have woken up. Onto the Rift we go for what could be 2-0 for LNG over JDG. A lot of fans there in the audience. We are in LNG's arena, I believe. It's the where is LNG's arena again?
Suzhou.
Suzhou, that's right. It's a great old location. The stage itself is absolutely gorgeous. I love that one. So that could be such a wonderful thing to go visit at some point. One day I will go visit the various LPL arenas.
Yeah, you know, you've got the JDG Beijing arena, you have the LNG Suzhou arena, you have NIP in Shenzhen, you have W in Xi'an as well. So yeah, it's been really cool to see all of these different venues, and of course you have the neutral venue in Shanghai as well. We've had some different. I think LGD used to be in Hangzhou as well, maybe. I feel like they used to be in there. Right. A lot of different teams have had a lot of different places over time. I believe also RNG used to have a stage as well. Not every team keeps them for forever, but it's really cool having these split venues, and it just makes it that much cooler to have like these traveling shows. That's been something which esports has been searching for a while. LPL is one of the best
fan experiences
and geolocated sports that we have. I mean, the fact that Overwatch League tried to do that for a long time and they couldn't quite manage it, and LPL is just doing it across the whole of China, has been really cool.
Of course, with Overwatch League, they were hit by that little thing in 2020 they're called COVID or whatever it was, that made things like in-person events that bit trickier, and so the Homestead experiment never really got to pay off, and instead we still have to wonder what could have been in another world. But here in the LPL, we've got a little taste of it at the very least.
And we do. So, back onto the Rift in the here and now then, as we travel around the whole of China. And we get ourselves onto Summer's Rift somehow. It's located here for now. It's also located in wherever the hell your region is too, sometimes. It's everywhere. It's a state of mind. It's a philosophy.
What is the state of mind?
Oh my god, my jungler's ass. That tends to be it.
Also, I'm right here? I'm your jungler?
Yeah, well, you heard it here first. Well, and in bot lane, it's also just, wow, my support doesn't know how to lane. It's one of the reasons I stopped off-rolling AD carry. I just stopped to play with someone.
Mid instead.
Yeah, exactly. That's the best thing. I now get to... Well, I played in top laner. I was a Quinn top lane enjoyer, which has probably put myself down in expectations for other people. But see that way, quick clear from top side to bot side, looking to leverage off of this bot lane pressure coming out from Zero Rakan. Rakan tends to bully out the Leona pretty well with the Q. It used to be the case where Leona was very good into Rakan because Xenoblade would instantly stop the grand entrance and you couldn't really do much about that, so Leona would lock you down before you could escape. Nowadays, actually, Rakan's very good into Leona because of the extra kind of draining through the laning phase you can get. You're out getting good push in that bot side. You've now got themselves... Oh, this is really well played from LJDG in terms of their wave pushing out at the right time, but they need to know where Weiwei is. Kanavi's coming towards bot side with pushing mid and bot, but do the lanes know that Weiwei's already there?
Yeah, because Weiwei was pathing this way, and they want to try and contest with both Scuttlecrabs. Weiwei to throw down that swirl seed, lands it onto Ruler, actually, but now over comes Kanavi. The stun comes on through, allows the javelin toss to land onto Weiwei. He goes down for first blood.
And JDG use the pushing lanes and leverage off it first. Another Zenith Blade comes through. Is there another stun beyond this? Missing, trying to hop back and forth. Another spear lands, but LNG, they lose out on the bot side of the map first. Weiwei gets into River, but they can't stick the landing. Kanavi with 3 spears in a row now landed, forcing Gala and Hung off of this tower, and potentially with another spear line could get himself assassination. Doesn't land that one.
Scout will dodge out some of the piercing light there, I think. Okay, it says some of it. You can't dodge it.
Oh!
For the flash! I was musing on phrasing, and Scout just breaks Yagao's ankles.
Scout takes down Yagao, going into the bot side again. Gonna disengage at least from LNG, but we will need a close-up of that player. Scout fires out the Q knockup, flashes to the side. I don't know whether he was flashing away from damage. It looked flashy. Not entirely sure if it was worth it, but hey, that was a cool 1v1.
Man alive, what a play that was. And the bot lane, though, it's a big wave lost for this Zeri. Gala down the flash, down the cleanse, and down 20. CS goes back and gets himself a Carl, but this bot lane is a bit over.
Please give us a replay of this. Come on, I need to see that in slow motion.
No.
All power of anime on the side of Yone. LNG get themselves something back in their mid lane, and they kind of needed it at that point because this bot lane is not going to plan. Gala and Hung really forced away from that bot side of the map, and you see that Ruler on his Xayah has a 400-ish gold lead, gets himself that first back for tier 2 boots, which means he can chase down and step out of skill shots a lot more easily, and we're going to get this replay. So, this is the first play in the bot side where you can see that pushing mid, pushing bot gives the advantage over to JDG. Nissan gets right onto Gala, but then basically holds onto his Q long enough until Kanavi's in range. That's the important thing. Max range spear, gets himself to pounce in with that flash, and suddenly Weiwei is just completely deleted off the face of the map. More spears later, Kanavi gets something through here. This is the anime
so cool.
Play in the mid lane. While you were out partying, Scout was studying the blade, gets himself a flash, which is entirely unnecessary actually, but it looks really, really cool.
Flash, I think he might have been flashed in the last auto for the kill, actually.
Nope, he flashed to the side to try and mind game a Q coming out of the Lucian, which never came. It looked cool and did nothing.
Was it not for the Relentless Pursuit, trying to read that? Because the Q had already been used before the trade.
Yeah, well, Scout, he didn't need to flash that. All the same, he ended up, what did he end up doing? Because he gets the knockup, he would have got that last auto anyway. He flashes because it looks cool.
Because it looks cool, we take those, I suppose. Comes back with Berserk Greaves. An important kill because the game is looking a little bit ugly. Weiwei's back down towards this bot lane as he's Hex Flash forwards. Weiwei's there. I'm not sure you want this one missing. He is about to be missing his HP bar, you imagine.
Yeah, missing. Had to grab place. It's a good route. That might save his life. I think that has done. By the way, extra. Oh, missing.
Missing.
What are you doing?
Missing. There's no Nidalee here. She's on the grubs. So that's another route. Hang on. Good turnaround. There's some battle dancing required. Ruler flashing on forwards. Gets one. Looking for more root pulls. Just about dodging away, but can't get any further. The grand entrance comes on through, but Ruler gets away with 2 kills.
That was the plan. Just to let Ruler do his thing. Walks away now with 2 kills from that bot side of the map. In a 2v3, they get a 2 for 2. What that means is that Kanavi gets to go into the enemy jungle because Weiwei died. And LNG, they're going to start falling behind in the individual jungle matchup even more. So JDG outplaying that even after whatever the hell happened in mid lane before that point. This is a 2v3. He effects flashes forwards and he knows this is the 2v3 after this point, but Ruler gets himself press the attack very early on into this trade. You can see him, well, I think he actually ends up blocking a little bit later than I thought. Great feather pullback with all of the feather pullbacks. He's been playing Swarm. He knows all the angles now. Missing goes a bit far forward in this one, but still. Knowing that you have the Xayah with the next feather pullback coming back is really important. Now he has the press attack, gets the pullback through 2 people, and that's effectively lights out beyond this point. Flashes forwards, kills 1, gets himself another, even while tanking minion aggro on Ruler, showing exactly where he has the skin on this champion, locks him down.
And that last Q from Gala was about 5 HP of getting a 1-for-1 there himself, so it doesn't quite happen. Now Ruler gets a 3rd plate, another wave lost, 20 CS discrepancy, up 1,000 odd gold here at sub 8 minutes. Is pretty damn huge. Now we are in a position. Well, the gold is even enough for now, but it's where that gold is that should start alarming LNG. Big lead for the Nidalee. Kanavi's Nidalee early should be scary. And Ruler on this Xayah, on his skin no less, should be an absolute terror. Brief moment here. Weiwei is around again on the bot side of the map. Kanavi pathing towards the top lane. Will be doing their very best to be impacting the rest of the map. Scout and Yagao. Not too much to be seen here right now. Is Scout warding this Lucian off away from the wave with that Q being held. Won't use it. There's a nice sword spin there. Yone has some very cool animations, it has to be said. And goes looking for that Mortal Steel. Won't find it. Yagao Relentless Pursuits away. A little ironic considering the namesake. A little bit like the Scion Ultimate, just on a smaller scale. Missing. Just about getting rid of that ward there, as Weiwei will be spotted on the last dregs of that ward. I believe with that sweeper on will be still an unknown quantity. Up comes Kanavi towards the grubs here. Needs to be a bit afraid of a potential contest. We'll nab one of the small Krugs, not grubs. With
the Kruglings.
The
Kruglings, yeah.
That's great. I like those.
Thanks. Cool. You can quote me on that. You can use it as a citation. You can reference it.
At 9 minutes 15 in JDG versus LNG.
The term Kruglings was invented. The root doesn't come through from Rullis. He's going to take a bit of a heavy trade, taking down to about half HP. Oof. Dodges out quite well, though. Of course, Titsy Boots are really important for that kind of dodging.
That it certainly is. Scarlet, looking for a bit of a trade there. Did use the ultimate for that. Was aware that the rest of the squad of JDG is on the other side of the map, so had some freedom to do that. And missing being here with a lot of very good wards against this cannon, by the way. There's double control ward and a ward behind the Krug bush, so to speak. May also contain Kruglings, as we have now learned. Could end up being a little bit dicey to manage. Weiwei is here. Should be a 3v2 dive. Look for a little bit more. Missy coming on over. The slicing maelstrom comes on down. Shoots Chunk into the tower. They go, and that is a clean old dive.
And suddenly, Nidalee's early game really coming to the fore now. Kanavi 2-0-1, 1,000 gold up, and Weiwei, poor deer in the jungle has found themselves the prey animal to the predator of Kanavi. 2-0-1 really starting to pop off. Goes to the Lichbane build too. None of this Leandry stuff. It's all about the Lichbane assassination potential. And with how squishy the entirety of LNG's composition is, you can understand why. It's a well set up dive. Ship has the last of that Meganar. Very tanky, of course, with the extra HP. Gets himself a full combo with a double Q as well. Splitting the kills between the Nara and the Nidalee. That's a lot of value.
That felt really good. Weiwei was there to try and defend against it. They knew it was happening, but just can't stop it. Sheer times the Meganar really well. Zucker went looking for it, couldn't find it, and now grub taken. That's 4 already for JDG, but LNG are ready and willing to fight this. Weiwei didn't get a chance to use the Lilting Lullaby, so has it available. But the Observer spotting out the ruler is coming to play for this. Zucker has teleport, but no ultimate. Can make this pretty tricky, and LNG go, look, we've got our grub, we can't get more.
Yeah, they need to be really careful around this. Zucker no ultimate. If you had the cannon ultimate, yeah, maybe you could teleport ult flash in with him, but it's just not going to be easy for them. I mean, and you know what? The good thing about this game is just showing that JDG, if Kanavi is online, can do unspeakable things. Kanavi is so much of the heart and soul of this iteration of the team. I think that Kanavi and Yagao have been the engine room. I think particularly when Yagao's been on stuff like the Corki and the Tristan, that's been a thing. I think with the Lucian we'll see whether he can kind of add that to the same kind of high-level champion performances he's had throughout this summer. If Kanavi gets a good early game, JDG can do almost anything. This guy is so good for his team, and now with 2-0-1, 1,000 gold lead on a champion which needs that early gold lead but leverages it so well once they have it. That's a great start for JDG to showcase that LNG. Yeah, they might have taken down top Steals and BLG. JDG are still a top team. This is not going to be a clean 2-0.
That's why that guy is still considered in the running for best jungler in the world. I think the likes of Canyon and Tien over the course of this year have probably had better showings, but he's still right up there. He's been so good. And this kind of game kind of reminds you why. You know what I mean? He gets Nidalee, his specialty pick, picks up the Lichbane, deletes Weiwei from the map in multiple scenarios, and makes this a very difficult game.
I think it's always very unfair that Karthus didn't immediately die to a Lichbane auto.
That's very true.
Why buy the item? Why buy the item? You know?
Because he had a phylactery.
Ah.
Yeah, that's what Malignance is.
Why was that it?
No, it's not. It's a Chemtech thing. I'm just making jokes. Come on, man.
Here I was trusting you.
You shouldn't do that.
Like I was a Staff of Flowing Water instantly kills Brand, Lichbane kills Karthus, Teemo Blind doesn't work on Lee Sin. You know, stuff like this. It's all very important. Why would you ever ignite a Brand either?
Evelyn probably shouldn't be allowed to buy Void Staff in a PG game.
True. Zucker might be finding himself in a bit of an R-rated
scenario.
Yeah,
it's a horror story. Actually, there's a teleport behind though. Ruler now in a difficult position, can't find a good feather angle until he flashes for it. Fate Sealed knocked away by Zucker's ultimate. It's absolutely glorious. They can look for a bit more. The knockup comes on through, but everybody's dead. Weiwei kills off the Leona, but JDG That was hints of last year's glories.
Ruler breaks not just one set of ankles, but a whole team's worth. LNG, they overcommit to Ruler to try and bail out Zucker, try and break one side of the collapse in from JDG, and they can't quite manage it. Ruler walks away 3-1 and 2, has that Essence Reaver completed, has himself a Zeal, so suddenly Ruler, if Ruler ever tags a W onto you now on that side, you get the move speed from your W, you get the move speed from the tier 2 boots and from the Zeal as well. Ruler is going to start chasing you down at Mark 5 at that point, and LNG, I don't think they'll be able to run from it soon enough. I think that Ruler's in a great position now with his itemization. Zeal has been a heavily underrated item on champions like Xayah for a long time because the extra movement speed from W kind of all stacks up. LNG giving him that gold to go towards that is a big problem. Look at how he outsteps this. See, has the cleanse, has the flash, and you're right, he doesn't find the best angle at the start of this, but he manages to get himself the cleanse out of that, flashes in for the huge feather pullback, and then Scout, because the rest of the team is now there because it's been delayed, can't finish off the kill either. Ruler has just done an unspeakable amount of damage there.
Scout buys a bit of time, but immediately has to pop back into Kanavi's spear. He times it so well. Now missing, looking on forward. It's a 2v3, so have to back away. The Herald was started there briefly. Scout, such a good start on the Yone with the style point flash to get that solo kill. Is looking at the rest of his team going, guys, what the hell happened bot lane?
Yeah, so JDG, typically they have been playing around Kanavi's early game and Yugao getting a push on stuff like Corki or Tristana.
Zucker's dead again. He's just respawned again.
Yeah, I guess we missed that in the... Well, I definitely missed that in whatever that happened. We were too busy celebrating Ruler breaking various joints of LNG by beating him across the court that Zucker somehow ended up dying again. But yeah,
Kanavi picked it up by the looks of the kill score. I don't know. Must have just been a top lane gank or something.
Yeah, it must have been at that point. So JDG, you know, this is a team that is so typically played around Kanavi's early game and Yugao getting leads on these pushing AD carries as well. I think he has really adapted well to the AD mids compared to someone like Knight who struggled a bit more than them. The Lucian hasn't necessarily been one which he's picked up as well compared to the Tristana and the Corki though. So for me, there is still something to be said about, okay, while the Lucian is not the best pick for him right now, can he prove us wrong in that way, in the same way that he did with that Tristana and that Corki? LNG, they are giving that gold over to Scout in the sideline. This is exactly what they do. Scout is ahead in the individual matchup. Can they do more with that?
Ruler is going to be on vision. Gala will see it and take the opportunity to hop on forward to Yugao. Was over the wall there, and a little bit bold there from Gala. I don't know whether they had any route to there, but again, it's a couple minutes until the next objective, so can take that opportunity to see whether there's something to be found.
Yeah, so shit. Got control on the side lane as well. Kennen is not a great champion if he loses lane. So the fact that Sheer is ahead is a problem. Ruler under Tara again. Does have that ultimate. Does gets himself to level 11 as well, which means there'll be a lower cooldown and does slightly more damage as well. I remember ages ago that they buffed the damage to the Xayah's ultimate. I was thinking, oh, that won't mean much. And then I started playing Zarek and I'm like, wow. Zyrol does a lot of damage. Even as the initial can like throw out of those feathers. Ruler's in a great point of power. You can see that even when Gala jumped onto him there, he just puts that W on, tags a single auto, and the movement speed that you get is really, really high. Most gold in the game. He's getting himself to huge points of power. LNG are going to find it really hard to lock this guy down.
Shout out to someone I've been doing with, what is their actual name, but their in-game name is Anxiety, which I think is just excellent. It's just that it's their Xayah account. Like, that's great. That makes me smile.
Funnily enough, Xayah is also one of my most played champions.
I can't believe it.
Yeah, I played a lot of Xayah because basically Xayah feels like a mid lane champion played in bot lane. Because you're a big caster who thinks about angles, much like, you know, Syndra thinks about the QE angles and stuff like that. Same kind of thing with the Xayah. Xayah and Ruler, one of the best, well, the best Xayah player of all time. Not going to get caught out by Scout. Gets a root back as well.
Man, that's so frustrating. Every time someone goes looking for Ruler, he has got the feathers in place to root him down. Ruler, though, now going to be forced to ult the Solar Flare as well. Gala getting huge value with the Lightning Crash.
Yeah, Gala gets that. It's ult for ult in terms of the AD carries. Believe Ruler's probably... Well, I mean, Zeri Ultimate's much lower cooldown than Xayah, so that's a win in itself. Xayah has himself the Quick Blades now in the next recall. Those Quick Blades will keep him up and up in terms of the extra value you can get.
As opposed to the slow knife.
Yeah, I know,
from Dune.
Oh, yeah!
Well, you know.
Fear is the mind killer.
It is.
Yeah.
As are in fact knives and guns.
Next time we see like a Fiddlesticks or a Knockdown in the game, we'll have to pull out the Fear is the Mind Killer line. You wait for it. You heard it here first. If you ever hear us say that in the future, it came from here. Right now, this R&D.
I believe that was Fatboy Slim, actually, as that was a good look on him. But Ruler with a very good flash forward to avoid the Fate Seal. Now the turnaround to come on through as the exhaust is down, the teleport's coming. But there's going to be another member there. Zucker can go looking for Ruler, who's still got a cleanse. Stunned in place, misses the Feather Pull, will surely fall. But the Zenith Blade afterwards means that Zucker dies in trade, a 2-for-1. But hang on, the rest of LNG were On the roam on down, won't look for anything more. Dragon's alive and Ruler played that one sublimely.
Yeah, he played super aggressive. Does lose the cleanse on the flash, though. Scout tried to punish him while his ultimate was down and probably could have one-shot if he'd ends up hitting that one, but can't quite able to, isn't able to hit the mark. Zucker ends up blowing his teleport flash and ult, though. So in terms of big ultimates and big resources used, I think LNG is still kind of even in that sense, too. JDG get themselves towards this Dragon. Kanavi will clear that one fairly effectively. Sheer with the Meganar still means that LNG do not want to be anywhere close to Natio with the heavy CC available to them. Ruler, he's had some games on Xayah this year where he's actually not looked that great. He's picked himself into draft where he can't do that much. This is very different. He's doing an awful lot of work. Right there, flashing forward, so Scout, between Scout's real body and then the soul unbound as well, so he's never really leaving that Xayah's DPS range and chases him down alongside missing. LNG, maybe just thrown a little bit too much towards the Xayah. If you throw everything at a Xayah and they successfully disengage, you have lost the game to the Xayah. As we watch back in this replay, watch how Ruler plays this out. Scout knows he's coming to farm. This is not a bad angle from Scout. Ruler then flashes, though, immediately gets his W down and gets that extra movement speed to chase him down towards his tether point, and he gets himself a huge amount of damage. I think it's a mistake from missing to use the exhaust here, though. If you don't use that exhaust there, then you don't lose that kill at this point. I don't think you needed that exhaust right there. Ruler couldn't quite get that second road through, even with the Flicker Blaze giving the extra cooldown. I think maybe missing, didn't quite realize that Zucker was coming in.
Yeah, I also think that missing was a bit afraid. I think, I kind of need to look back at that VOD again, whether Scout had the Q3 charged, maybe without the exhaust could have got the healing, and that might have made it a bit tricky. We've all seen Yones from low HP still survive through some pretty scary moments, so could have been tricky if you get to Q through both of them, and especially with the cooldowns off, but either way, exhaust was used. Gala used the ult to clear away the wave. Lilting Lullaby is not going to be allowed to get away from Ruler. Is dead now as Sheer in the jungle, being run down by Zucker and Scout, the two solo laners, trading on out. The fate is indeed sealed as LNG again punished Ruler in a mid lane.
One of the worries we had about this draft from JDG, go back and watch us at the end of there, saying, hey, you know, with the kind of last pick, that's a lot of things which can force summoners out of Xayah. And the problem is Ruler doesn't have them to this fight. Ruler has typically been excellent at holding onto his flash and whatever other summoners he has in his ultimate for the correct moments. He can't do right here, though, as LNG, they've understood the assignment. Even if Ruler has everything up, just continually engage onto him. You might lose the fight where he has all of his summoners, but if you lose gracefully enough, then the second time when he doesn't have those, you can get yourself a big win. Getting Ruler down there, very, very important. Let's see if they can do it again while Ruler still doesn't have his flash. Cleanse coming back up. They'll want to force that again.
I really want to credit Gala as well for, despite being down a couple kills, is near enough in gold. Only the 500 behind. He has been really trying to get value here because he's the one who starts this one off with a very aggressive look forward with the ult.
Yeah, really just jumping forwards. Gala getting great value there. And he doesn't have the cleanse, doesn't have the flash, has the ultimate, but it wouldn't save him, so he chooses to hold on to it. Gala has an infamously poor record versus Ruler as well. If he were to win through this series, it'd be pretty historic for him. Not necessarily been
the rate.
I actually can't remember. I can go have a quick check while we're while you're
I'll
nattering the next
while you look at that. All right, guys, it's just you and me. The temporary solo cast. Sam, Initialise, Hatgood in chat. Are you guys here? Cozy and ready? 2 minutes until the next dragon spawns. Baron's up and alive. And it means we actually get a little bit of chance here to muse. LNG have claimed those two turrets in the side lanes, which again we saw in the earlier series that when teams were falling behind, they were struggling to get towards. That's one of the joys of the Ascension group, is it does feel like some of our better teams are more able to find those narrower windows when they are behind to get access to those structures. And Gala now with that Hurricane as well, alongside the Shiv, has enough wave clear to really mount a solid defense in mid lane. Though, of course, at the end of it all, that tier 1 turret has now fallen there, even it came at the cost of Ruler's life. Hung around and about, looking to clear out some of these wards down here. Needs to be a bit afraid, because Carnarvon missing it here. Carnarvon continues to step on forwards, misses the swipes there.
I believe Ruler, Gala has not beaten Ruler in a series since Worlds 2022.
No,
and that was
really?
a single best of one in day one of groups there with RNG versus Gen G. Believe that's the last time that we saw that. But given that Gala went between RNG and now to LNG, with Ruler coming over to JDG in 2023, it has been
a while.
It has been a while, folks. I think it has realistically been since the days when Ruler was on Gen G, since Gala has ever picked up a win. And even then, he had back then, actually, Gala did briefly, I believe, have a winning record versus him. But all the same, it has been a while since Gala has beaten Ruler in a full best-of.
Yeah, and running his own skin just for insult to injury like Gala, you don't have this, do you? You know, one of these days maybe, mate, but not right now. Carla still in this bush, still ready and willing to fight for this round. We still point for JDG, but despite the early start to the game, they're only 800 gold ahead now. I credit over to LNG for really narrowing that lead. It's still a scary position for, say, particularly the Nidalee, but at this point in the game, the 2-item Nidalee isn't as scary as, say, 10 minutes ago.
No, it's still going to be a lot of damage because they've reached that break point and they have got that point where they can assassinate someone, and LNG are not a tanky team, but it's still not... Kanavi's great at playing this champion, but you need to be playing at this champion to get damage out as well. Dragon gets started up by LNG. LNG have not beaten JDG in a series since 2021. It has been many years. Scout trying to change that.
Finds a massive angle onto Kanavi. Will surely die to the soul unbound. Another Q onto Ruler. Causes some damage, but Gala dies to the back end of it. Into the backhand goes Zuka. Trying to get onto Yagao and Ruler, who flash and cleanse away respectively. They lose the cannon, and they just can't get the damage on the AD. Curry's done. Weiwei goes golden briefly, but is hung alone. The health bars are so low. Another fantastic knockup. They kill off the Leona, a flash away from Weiwei, and Ruler Yagao was so desperately low.
Weiwei's keeping his Q move speed up as well. Hung, if he gets himself another round of cooldowns, could be really a big threat here. And it does mean that LNG, with their jungler alive and Weiwei healing through, still get the dragon, but by God, LNG nearly threw that away. Ruler has his summoners as an ult up again. When Ruler has all resources available on the Xayah, he will make you pay for it. Uses the cleanse flash and the ult, but sadly for JDG, they can't get the big team fight win while using them. This is the best it looks when Ruler has all of his summoners available. He's not going to have that for the next fight. LNG walk away with a dragon, denies that soul point, and they do end up just about surviving in that fight. Looking back in this replay again, Scout jumps immediately forwards and tries to get himself onto Kanavi, kill a jungler off before the objective. He's exhausted in this one, which means it's not available for the cannon. Then Gala walks into feathers, and then he gets Mega Knot out of that, and he immediately dies. So not great positioning from Gala in that one. Zuka doesn't get himself a great ult, even with the exhaust being down. Sheer really outvaluing what Zuka did there. Ruler and Sheer really running this fight and just about winning it out for them. Very, very close, though, at the back end of this.
Yeah, it really was. And, you know, that was a very good flash to get out of the cannon ult from the side of Ruler. And on the other side, Yagao having the QSS meant he could cleanse and then get on out with that relentless pursuit, but Baron was going down all the while, and JDG claimed that on the resets.
JDG get themselves a huge advantage there now, because LNG, they didn't quite get themselves control over the top side because they were focusing on the bot side. Now, can JDG use these Barons in the same way that LNG did against them in that last game? LNG really well played from them in that game one, and in the sense that they managed to control their waves around the Baron very, very well. JDG, they're going to go for an immediate push in that top side with a couple of resets coming through as well. No, in fact, they're not going to stay towards that top side. Nymaera might go towards it just now. But LNG, they're very good at controlling their side waves on the whole, but doing it against Baron buff is a different game entirely.
Yeah, it will be certainly a tricky position. Of course, poor old Zuka, 1-5-1 on this Ken. Every flank he's looked for has just not found the value they've been after. While you've still got a very scary Yone. 3 items. The Randuin Dim versus the double AD carry makes a lot of sense to me, especially considering both will be getting more and more crit as the game goes on. Called Bloodthirst no longer gives the crit, so worth noting that. I always have to second guess myself for so many years. Was offering that crit.
Looks like these clean feed again, just having a couple of issues here, so please stay with us as it's just frozen here as well. It did freeze a little bit during one of our champ selects, and we'll hope we'll get that back to you soon. We'll just get ourselves a bit of a fallback plan just in case this one doesn't work itself out as we continue through it.
Yeah, we'll keep our eyes on it. No worries. We have got the power to find other feeds. Do give us a second or two there while Alex sorts that one out. I will entertain you briefly as we head over to Bilibili to find ourselves another stream. It looks like it might be pause on that one too. We'll see whether we can find ourselves that stream.
We'll do as well, as we'll get ourselves back into this one.
I'm going to pull on in there. Apologies for the lack of game sound, but we have got Chinese audio with this one, so it makes it a little bit trickier. Hold on just briefly as the base stuns. JDG claim a few of those outer turrets and do get themselves a solid gold lead now as a result of that Baron coming their way.
So it does look like the clean feed has died on us, so we'll be going towards this one for now, and hope you can stick with us in this one. So we won't be having game sounds, you'll be just listening to the sound of our voices beyond this one. LNG, oh, it does look like we've got it back again.
Yep. Just heard it in the background, so we can switch back on over. The Scout went looking for a Fate Sealed there. Won't be able to find it onto anyone valuable, alas for them, as Kanavi was forced to flash at the very least. But LNG, the last dregs of this Baron are being defended well enough, and they'll hold on for now. A minute and a half or so until another dragon fight might occur.
Yeah, it's a quick glance behind the curtain for you guys. We do work off of a clean feed, which is not a browser source. It comes directly through from Striker, which helps us with that one. We don't have control over that feed very much. It's not like we can refresh it or just refresh a web page. That's how we get things without the game audio, so we can do it as a bit more of an official broadcast for you. It does occasionally have some issues. Largely been pretty good this year, but we have some fallbacks in place. It's back now, though, and you don't have to worry.
Third item complete for Gala. The Infinity Edges here might be the requirement to find the angle on it. And when looking for an engage, gets something missing here at this point. Is not all that tanky to the Yone. Good dodge on the spear. Missing stays alive. Sheer pulling away. He's in the mid lane, looking for potential tailball angles. Zucker coming behind. JDG needs to be quick as Yagao is forced to cleanse and E away from the slows. Zucker cannot find the angle. They retreat into the jungle and away from the teleport angle of that Kennen. A wasted summoner again. Zucker just not finding value right now.
Yeah, Zucker, man, I felt like he was the unsung hero of LNG for a lot of this year, but he's not been fantastic in the last week or so. Versus FPX and in this series, maybe been the weakest part of LNG, which is sad to see because this guy has done a lot of good work for LNG. I think he has been largely underrated for his work on this team. So to see him have a game like this where he's now 2,000 gold down against the Gnar, when he's one of these key pieces which he has to try and unseat this Sire in the back of a team fight, that is not what LNG want.
Part of the problem Zucker runs into is he has these streaks of underwhelmingness between the streaks of very good play, and then people get nervous about believing in him because you do start to have these games against some of the better top laners, and I suppose Sheer at this point as a debutant with solid mechanical skills could be considered one of them to an extent. Zucker might find Sheer here at the very least, and he is still a Kennen, even if he is 2 levels behind his opposite number.
Yeah, he doesn't have that third tier of the ultimate. Sheer does. He can't chunk out Sheer to the point where he can't fight. He's going to get himself onto this, and it means that JDG get themselves on to Soul Point. While this is happening, one of the strengths of LNG has been about their side lanes. How do you play around your side lanes when one of them is 2,000 gold behind and 2 levels down? Very, very hard. Even LNG, who are one of the best teams at playing side lanes and playing towards towers in the entire league, has really struggled with that now. And now, you haven't been able to force a fight before Ruler gets his flashback. Now he has that flashback, he might be able to get himself towards his cleanse cooldown as well, before the next big fight erupts, and that's not what LNG wanted. Every time you play against the Xayah with those tools available, particularly when it's Ruler, he's only going to be using those tools when he's killing you. So you need to make sure that you lose gracefully when he has those tools. And weirdly with Xayah, you want to make sure that you kind of like you give them a fight which the Xayah is favored in, but then you can take a second fight afterwards when they don't have those tools.
Yeah, and now with the Infinity Edge in inventory as well, this Xayah, what is losing gracefully, is a much narrower option than it was a moment or two ago's Hung. It's hit by the culling, will throw the quickness down onto Kanavi and will back away for now. He's being burned down. Zucker now in danger, tries to turn around and disappears.
That's the problem when there's a 3-item Nidalee waiting for you. That Cougar sinks the claws in, and LNG, they lose themselves on the side lane again. Zucker, 2,500 gold down. He can't really protect that side of the map, so Hung, he's trying to play towards a side lane, but it's just not one which can help him. Zucker's the one that goes down 1 and 6. What a fall from grace this player has had in the last couple of series, and JDG, they have really turned the screws in there. Baron is spawning in 10 seconds. Zucker doesn't have ult, he doesn't have teleport. This is a free Baron.
It really should be. Although Kanavi was on the other side of the map, so might still end up giving an opportunity for Weiwei to get in, who has the flash, has the Zhonya's, definitely tools for to get in here. There's a lot of wards in the jungle. The LNG still willing to look and face straight down to 3,000 HP. They don't even need the jungler. They just take it regardless.
It's completely gone. And Weiwei, if he went anywhere close to that, he would have got jumped on and he would have died. Hung doesn't have the ult. Zucker didn't have the teleport or the ult himself too. So LNG, they have been brought apart in the big skirmishes, the big team fights. Kanavi on this Nidalee as well, proving why, once again, he has the Nidalee pass. Not everyone in the LPL does, not everyone in the world does it. It has been a very controversial champion because you have to be this mechanically tall to ride the Nidalee roller coaster. Kanavi is standing tall in this one, and he has been so strong for his team.
Yeah, you've got to keep all your limbs inside the ride because the javelins need to go out of it, and they need to be on target, because if they start leaving the rails, it all gets a bit ugly. Gala will slide over the wall away from the culling. It does mean not really in a position to contest this wave, but it comes into the tower. Weiwei will try and throw out a couple blooming blows to clear out the wave best they can. But Ruler at this point, with so much support behind him, is under very little threat here. Gala throwing out as much burst fire as they can, but the inhibitor turret is broken. Zucker chunked out just by walking around, apparently. And inhibitor bare but not taken as yet. Scout unbinds his soul. won't go any further forwards.
Yeah, I was wondering to see if JDG had overpushed. There are some wards quite deep. LNG don't have an instant, like, teleport flank angle, but they have a couple. That's why they're going now. Zucker has ult, has flash, has teleport. He's going. Scout will try and go from the front, as will Hung. It will be a pincer engage. Here comes Gala's ult.
Just the cleanse on down. Missing, taken low. Yagao in a dangerous position, trying to find an angle on him. Will get absolutely eviscerated. They take one, but what about the remaining fly? Oh my days! The javelin tossed us half of Weiwei's life. Now they get a route onto Hung and Gala, who are a little bit low, but they stay alive. Inhibitor taken all the while, and Sheer can walk up and claim the other.
Hang on, was that a javelin toss or was that a crit from Ruler? Either is kind of terrifying. That's going to be another engage in.
Ooh, they get a bit of a chunk. Can't quite get the kills, though. Ruler still very high HP, missing low as the old truck laser chunks him out. Zucker looking to come pinning on in. Again, misses the Mega Nard as Sheer about to time on out. Missing, gets his shield on up. Sheer still just about alive. Mini-Nar coming on forwards, gets a Hive Block and a Sterak's shield. Kanabi off to the flank. Ruler stepping on. The
cannon minion!
Tries to get some more. Zucker flashes out to safety. LNG just cannot get a clean flank.
And the terrifying thing about that, Ruler has everything still available. LNG were not even worthy of his flash. They weren't even worthy of his cleanse, nor his ultimate. Ruler on his Xayah skin, taking LNG to task.
They get onto Sheer, who is still pretty low, but gets a Mega Nard off. They just don't have the burst anymore. There's the Mega Nard away, and Ruler will finally unleash his royal arsenal. Gets a couple kills, will finally fall. But it doesn't matter, the damage is done and the game is still over. We're going to 3.
Going to 3. LNG will not have easy pickings versus JDG. Jingdong Gaming will take this series to 3. LNG taken apart in this one. They couldn't play towards the side lane. They couldn't play towards their big old fights. And JDG make it even.
Oh my days. Well, that was funny. And of course, when we start praising Ruler, he dies going too far forward. But the game was well and truly over. He dies for the cause, namely ending the game. And in style, it was 1-2.